Governments are weird. They can be like that friend who's all smiles one minute, then throws shade the next. This bipolar behavior is confusing, but it makes sense when you consider the pressures they face. Think of it like this. Governments have to juggle a lot. They need to keep people safe, they need to keep the economy stable, and they need to keep their own power in check. That's a lot of balls in the air. So, it's no surprise that governments sometimes make decisions that seem contradictory. They're trying to please everyone, and that's impossible. Plus, different groups within a government can have very different ideas about what's best. This tension is especially clear in two-party systems. Take the United States, for example, where Republicans and Democrats often seem to be speaking different languages. On paper, Republicans and Democrats have distinct ideologies. Republicans typically advocate for smaller government, lower taxes, and individual liberty. Democrats, on the other hand, often favor a larger role for government in areas like healthcare, education, and social welfare. But in practice, the lines can get blurry. Both parties have been known to expand government programs, increase spending, and restrict freedoms when it suits their interests. It's enough to make your head spin. One historical example is the contrasting approaches of two American icons, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Washington, the nation's first president, believed in a limited federal government. He cautioned against foreign entanglements and emphasized neutrality. Fast forward a few decades, and Lincoln, facing the unprecedented crisis of the Civil War, took a very different approach. He suspended habeas corpus, expanded the power of the presidency, and centralized authority to preserve the Union. This brings us to a crucial point. Governments often talk a big game about freedom, security, and prosperity, but their actions don't always match their words. This can leave citizens feeling tricked, like they've been sold a bill of goods. Why the disconnect? Well, power, money, and the need to stay in power can do funny things to people, even those with good intentions. Sometimes governments prioritize these things over the principles they claim to uphold. This isn't to say that all politicians are liars or that governments are inherently bad, but it's important to be aware of the gap that often exists between rhetoric and reality. A prime example of this is the government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember those early days of 2020? Leaders across the political spectrum promised to protect freedom, support small businesses, and avoid draconian measures. Then came the lockdowns, the business closures, the travel restrictions, and the trillions of dollars in spending bills. Both Republicans and Democrats got on board with these measures, despite their seemingly contradictory stances on government intervention. The result, a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, and a sense that maybe, just maybe, those in power weren't being entirely straight with their public. The COVID-19 pandemic was a crash course in government bipolarity. It showed how quickly priorities can shift, how easily principles can be tossed aside, and how the pursuit of power can trump even the most basic freedoms. So the next time you find yourself scratching your head at a government decision, remember this: it's not just you. Governments are inherently complex, contradictory, and often downright confusing. It's enough to make you want to laugh or cry, or maybe both.